Hi, my name is Odette, and I will be having bilateral jaw joint replacement surgery in a little over 2 weeks. I've been doing a lot of research online in preparation for the procedure. I've seen a little information out there. Comparatively to other procedures, there's really not a whole lot about TMJ procedures out there. There have been a few people who have shared their journey and posted videos of before, during, well, there's doctors have posted during the procedure and some post-op videos, and I have found them very comforting and helpful. So I decided that I would share my journey in hopes of helping others along this process. So a little about me. It was in high school. I had a really bad habit of biting my cuticles, and all of a sudden, it was my senior year. Basically, I couldn't bite my cuticles anymore because my teeth weren't touching. And so I went to the dentist where I was at. I was living in Italy, and they said I needed to go back to the States. So they suggested I go to the orthodontist that I had seen when I had braces in my late junior high, early high school years. So I went back to them, and they were aware of some doctors in the community that were doing surgery to fix my issue. So I went to them, and they did x-rays and MRIs, and I think they did CAT scans. I don't recall, it was so long ago. And it was during that time when they asked me if I was in a car accident, because they saw that my joints were not sitting right. They said that the cartilage, your cartilage normally sits like this, mine were pushed back like this. And it was around that time frame when I kind of pieced it together what was going on. It was when I was about 15, I was ice skating, and I fell on my face. Basically, I was doing what they call a spiral, where you're skating with one leg up, and my toe pick hit the ice, and which caused my feet to stop, but the rest of me kept going. So I fell face down on the ice. I have a little scar here still. And then it was shortly after that that I remember vividly that my jaw started clicking and hurting, and I had just gotten braces around the same time, and I was complaining to the orthodontist about it. And he said, it's TMJ, take some Motrin, put a warm rag on, and that's pretty much how I lived until I couldn't, my teeth weren't touching anymore. So those doctors proceeded to do a Lafort 1, which didn't fix my issue. In retrospect, I shouldn't have had that done. It was unnecessary surgery because clearly the issue was with my joints. It had nothing to do with up here. They were just working on fixing my bite to get my teeth to touch again. So that was a horrific experience. I did not do well. I did not recover very smoothly after that. I was in the hospital for a week, and I lost a lot of weight. I think I got down to 80 pounds after that. It was probably almost 2 months before I could actually eat. Just a really, really bad experience, and I'll explain later that I'm actually dealing with a lot of issues now as a result of that. So, at any rate, that was the beginning of all of this. It was actually about 6 to 8 weeks post-op of my Lafort when my teeth weren't touching again. And I went back to the doctors, and they compared x-rays, and they said that my teeth have not moved, which is really frustrating because I'm showing them they are physically not touching anymore. So I stopped going to them, and partly, well, mainly because they were military doctors and I was losing my dependent status based off of my age. And so That was a couple years time frame. I just kind of trucked on, just accepting the fact that I had TMJ and that I'll always struggle eating a sandwich or a pizza because my teeth weren't able to cut through. But then the pain started getting worse, and over the last decade or so, I actually started seeking help because I've known all along. I've spent half my life, more than half my life, with jaw pain, and I've always known that I have a jaw issue, so the joints specifically. I started seeking help. I was going to dentists and orthodontists and oral maxillofacial surgeons over a span of, I don't know, about 5 years or so. And then no one could help me. They didn't know of anyone really doing anything with the jaw joints. They just weren't aware, which is a little shocking to me. I mean, I went to several different doctors, dentists, what have you. I even went to an orthopedic specialist seeking help because, I mean, it's a joint, and they do knee surgery, hip surgery, elbow, wrists, carpal tunnel, but they just kind of shrugged. They weren't aware of anything that could really be done, or they weren't aware of who to send me, I guess, or where to send me for help with that specific issue. It was pretty frustrating. In my research, I did find that there's a place in Richmond, Virginia that does jaw joint procedures. So at the time it was difficult because I had a baby, I have teenage boys, I work full time, it's a couple hours drive. So to take off of work and to drive a couple of hours for maybe a 30-minute appointment, I mean, it's a lot to deal with. So I brushed it off. I just kind of brushed it off, and especially since having a baby, so your life pretty much revolves around a new baby and teenage boys. That was about 6 years ago. So as my baby got older and we were settling in with our new schedule, our new lifestyle, and the older boys ended up moving out, so you know, they went off to join the military and college, so it was just down to the three of us, which makes scheduling things a little bit easier. So I started seeking again, and because the pain got so bad, I couldn't eat or talk much. I mean, I would have flare-ups where it would last at least a week with these flare-ups where it would just hurt so bad, nothing would help. I would take a leave throughout the day, and I tried ice. I prefer the heat. The heat seems to help just relax the tension. The pain, it starts here, and then it just kind of explodes behind my head, and then it goes down my neck, and it just lingers there. So it's usually after eating. I avoid a lot of specific foods if it's too chewy or just too hard. There are some days where I'm feeling okay and I can eat a piece of pizza, but at any rate, the pain got too much for me to handle anymore, so I decided I'll just go to Richmond, and I was looking online to find the contact to make an appointment, and then I found a website that it was just a website that had information on TMJ procedures, so I was checking it out, and then I noticed the area code was the same as my area code. I got very excited, and very next day I made an appointment with them, and I went and saw him, and I actually broke down crying in his office telling him my story, just because for the first time ever I've found someone that could actually help me with this issue. And the first thing he did was to order MRI and CAT scan, and the follow-up with that was we discovered that I don't have a sinus wall on this side as a result of the Lefort, which explains why I had titanium plates that were back here that actually it was probably it must have been like a 5-6 year period where it migrated across my face, and I kept feeling pain, but I thought it was just residual scar tissue from the Lefort. So this was back in 96. I had the Lefort in 91, so around 96 time frame, I started feeling pain in my gum, and I looked one morning and I saw something protruding out, and my body was actually trying to get rid of this foreign object that had migrated across my face. That's because I never fused, and I don't have a sinus wall there anymore, which explains the sinus issue, which is what I was referring to previously or earlier about ongoing issues that I have as a result of the Lefort. So it also showed, he was the first one that also ordered a CAT scan, because previous oral maxillo, I've had previous MRIs and x-rays. Well, this doctor said we need a CAT scan because MRIs show the soft tissue, but the CAT scan shows the bones. So it was discovered that he believes that I actually broke this condylar when I hit my face on the ice. There's breakage in both of my joints. So I've been living with a broken jaw for most of my life, and this side is worse, which makes sense because the impact was here, so it kind of pushed this way more. And this side, ironically, it has more clicking, because I think because it's not as fractured as this side. So this side, the bones are more settled in with each other. Actually, it's more like this, and because there's no cartilage there. So I actually have arthritis on this side, and I have cysts in my bones from the degradation, and so it's quite painful. I'm actually in pain right now from talking, but it's something that I live with every day, and it's just some days are worse than others. The first thing after the CAT scan and MRI follow-up was I needed to have my wisdom teeth removed. I still have my wisdom teeth. The one up here was taken out from my Lefort. They took it out from the top when they had that part of my skull taken out. And this side, for whatever reason, they decided to leave, and it came through, but it pushed my teeth out. So in addition to an open bite, I had an overbite, which was quite lovely. The bottom wisdom teeth were impacted, but they were just sitting impacted straight up. So they weren't sitting, too funky or, in a weird position, but they did push my teeth together in the front. But the main thing is the doctor needed room, the surgeon needs room to screw the prosthetics in, because my wisdom teeth was right here. I don't have as much of a jawline as I used to. You can see my open bite, and I used to have a normal bite many years ago, and I used to have more of a jawline, so you can really see the degradation, the evidence of the degradation. Just even 5 years ago, I looked much different than I do now. The next thing that followed up from the removal of my wisdom teeth were to have my braces put on. So I have an orthodontist who is part of my team, and she communicates with the surgeon, and we've been working together in preparation for my surgery, which is in 2 weeks. And so now my teeth are ready. They wanted to make sure that they were in almost perfect position, because one of the first things that the surgeon is going to do is to wire my teeth in proper position. So I won't have this open bite, and my teeth will be wired just for the procedure. Afterwards, I'm not going to be wired shut. I'm going to actually have to start eating within a 24-hour period, and I have to get a therapy device. It's not the Therabite. Originally, he wanted me to get Therabite, but it's I can't recall the name off the top of my head, but it's another device, and it's actually supposed to help me be able to open my mouth wider than the Therabite allows. Luckily, insurance doesn't cover it, so I actually have to call the provider, or the people that will be sending me the therapy bite next week, and I just have to pay out of pocket for that. I'm excited because I am looking for a relief. I am just so exhausted from the pain, the neck pain, the head pain, the headaches, and I just want a normal life, pain-free, where I can eat normally. And but I'm also scared. Naturally, I'm quite terrified of the procedure. I think I'm gun shy because of my experience with the Lefort, which was quite horrific. I personally will never ever do a Lefort ever again in my life. It was a really bad experience for me, and clearly I'm still struggling as a result from that. I had to recently, I had my physical in preparation for the surgery, and the physician's office wanted to make sure that I didn't have a sinus infection. It's not good to go into jaw surgery if you have this lingering sinus infection, because based off of the original CAT scan, it showed that I had extensive sinusitis in my sphenoid, which is a little scary because it's right in the center of your head and it's right by your brain. So infection can actually lead into your brain, and you can have neurological damage from it, and you can also, the optic nerve goes through there, so you can also lose some of your sight. So she ordered a CAT scan. I had a CAT scan just 4 days ago, and I also had an appointment with an ENT, and the results of the CAT scan came out right when I was at the ENT's office, which was nice, and so we were able to pull it up right away, and it shows that I have a polyp or a cyst in my sphenoid, and it doesn't, they believe that I just have this constant infection. Sometimes it's worse than others, because right now it's so-so, whereas my previous CAT scan showed extensive. So I'm on some heavy-duty antibiotics right now for the next 3 weeks, which I think they want to make sure that there are no bugs, no infection or bugs crawling around, that could cause an infection in the joint, which sounds horrible. That's one of my worst fears going into this, is having an infection in the joint. I did see a video where another young lady actually had that, and I believe I read up on that, where they have to take the joint out and put a spacer in, and then you have to be put on antibiotics, and then I guess they go back in and put the joint back in, and that just sounds like an ordeal I'd like to avoid at all costs. So that's one of my concerns about the procedure. So I'm glad that they have me on heavy-duty antibiotics going into surgery. So I knew that I was getting antibiotics post-op, but I feel better going into surgery, being on antibiotics, making sure that there's lingering infections elsewhere. I will have to go back to the ENT, and I may need to have surgery on my sinuses, especially in the sphenoid with the cysts. I'm not looking forward to that. So I hope that some of the stuff that I said is helpful. That's my goal, is to share my journey with others in hopes of comforting others and preparing others for their journey. This is the first of several videos that I plan on posting, so I will be discussing things that I'm doing to prepare for the surgery and personally, and I will share my fears and worries and excitement, and I plan on sharing my healing process in hopes that you know, this is definitely underrated, I guess you could say. There's not enough out there, and there needs to be more information out there for people, and so maybe this will, I see the Facebook pages and the websites and the blogs and the other videos, and I really hope that this gets out there more so that more people can find the help that they need, where it's taken me a couple of decades to finally have someone fix the root of all my issues, and I could have a pain-free, mostly pain-free life. And I guess that's it. And I hope this was helpful. Thank you.